Hi there. I'm Dr. Chris Moore. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Applied Sciences and the program leader for the BSc in Biomedical Sciences. And really this is just to give an overview of how I envisage creating some training videos for how to use digital tools for both staff and students. The idea would be to create a separate batch of videos for students to staff, simply because their needs are somewhat different, and what we don't want to do is show everybody how to do everything in everything. There are going to be different needs for staff compared to students. Now, the reason I'm doing it where I'm sitting off to the side of the screen is that after I've done each essentially screencast, but with a video feed, I will separate out the two feeds and float the screen over the empty side of the panel of the video feed. And so this way you don't have that disconnect between the tutor, the academic, and the learner by having just a no video feed at all, just a disembodied voice in the background, or by having just a tiny head and shoulders in the corner of the screen that doesn't really serve much of a purpose. So the idea of this is to be able to engage a bit more with the viewers while there's not something going on with the screen like I'm doing now. So the idea, I guess, is to create short tutorials in how to use each of the major digital tools that UE offers. Some of this for staff will be the simple how-tos and the why you might use this. And for students, it would be things like, these are the tools that we have provided to you. In some cases, you have choices within that as to what you use to engage with which task. In other cases, such as Blackboard, these would be tools that you are expected to engage with, and this is where you will get your learning content delivered to you. It may not be live through that. There may be other tools that are used in combination with Blackboard, but that is where you will jump from and log into, and it's where assignments will be submitted. And it's really to set those expectations for them as to sort of appropriate learner behaviour when it comes to engaging with your course, using the UE email address that's provided to them to engage with staff and communicate with staff, not to use personal ones, and to set those expectations up early. So tutorials would cover things like Office 365 in general, Blackboard, OneDrive, OneNote, Microsoft Teams, and Collaborate. Those would sort of be the major ones that we're going to use, and there's obviously going to be some nuances in there and more tools in the toolkit that I can develop over time. And these can be used, the sort of idea of doing them this way, doing them asynchronously, is induction week traditionally can have a lot of time spent with simply delivering information with very little, if any, discussion. Using digital tools is somewhat like that. Delivering the information they need to know to get going doesn't really need to be done synchronously. And it's often done by either the same person becoming exhausted by going around everywhere, or IT services delivering it from more of a technical perspective than an end user perspective, because they're not going to know quite rightly what the students are going to need to use for their particular course or different ways of learning. And so I thought maybe it's a better way to do it this way, to provide the basic information. And this can be the prep material within Block 0, such that in the case of students, they can be given an asynchronous video to watch before the themed session in the week on how to log into Blackboard and what the basic premise is, how it should be laid out, what are some of the simple ways that they'll be interacting with it. The activity for them to do as that prep work is to explore the program page and read some of the key information about how the program runs. Then the themed activity would be, for example, on space, thinking about online learning environments and spaces compared to the physical ones. What is my home office like now? How are they adapting where they live in order to be their learning environment? Are they just sitting on their bed with a laptop in their pajamas? Have they set up a little desk space to separate out work from home, as it were? And so that's where we can use spaces that you've explored online, having had asynchronous material to view beforehand, in order to discuss what place and space means for those individuals, both in terms of living, learning, working, and where they're thinking of going. So that's really the idea behind it, just to get people started, to provide one of these sorts of things for all the major learning areas. For staff, it would be how to better use Teams for facilitating learning, supporting activities, group supervision, as well as day-to-day core business, like program groups, subject clusters, and even departments. And that's just thinking about the academic side. There's obviously a whole range of project management stuff that we already are doing, but really it's about making best use of the tools we've got available, and that's what these tutorials would deliver. So I hope that gives you a sense of how we can use induction to merge with the more discussion-based elements of Block 0, while still providing core and key information and making our students and staff ready for starting in that 4th week or going into the 1st week of teaching Block 1. Okay, thank you.